Welcome to Women Waking the World Presents A Conversation for Change. My name is Marilyn Nyborg, and for the next 12 minutes I'd like to describe for you the series that we're going to bring to you on NCTV. It's designed by women, for women, and about women, to inform you, to inspire you, to motivate you, and to tickle your mind a little bit, giving you new perspectives and new ideas. We hope that you will bring your friends to view it with you, and to the men who love you, to get a little taste of our world as women. Women Waking the World and this program are basically stem from the same goal. What does it mean for women to wake the world? It means that we have to be informed. We have to initiate the conversations. We need to be talking and calling things for how they are. I think there are two things that women must do to do this. First, you have to be clear in your own mind. You cannot come from anger and upset and from your pain of the past. But when you're clear, and you're clear enough to say what is true for you and what you see happening, others can listen. I've had people say to me that conversations are not action. I would disagree. I don't know of any action that did not begin with a conversation. And that's really what we want to be doing here. We want to begin with the conversation and encourage you to do the same thing with your friends, with your family, and in the world. We're going to talk about some very simple actions that you can take. And we're going to talk to a lot of women who are doing these things. They're women just like you that are taking action in the world that will make a difference for all of us. We're going to look at why, first of all, why is this important to you? If you are familiar with the Dalai Lama and Bishop Tutu, both of whom have talked about women and the need for women to get involved, to bring your influence and your wisdom to the world. As my friend Jane Evershed says, we have been missing in action for centuries. And they basically are saying, if we don't do this, we will lose the planet that we're living on. It is time. We're going to, also I want to mention the book that Jimmy Carter recently wrote, and it's called A Call to Action, Women, Violence, and Religion. What I really loved about the book was I feel like he really called it. And I'm going to read this quote. The world's discrimination and violence against women and girls is the most serious, pervasive, and ignored violation to human rights. Now, if these three gentlemen haven't caught your attention, perhaps this will. Let me ask you, do you always feel heard by the men in your life when you're speaking? Your boss, your significant other, your husband, your brothers? Do they really hear you deeply from where you're coming from? And do you wonder why? If they don't, do you wonder why that might be? We're going to talk about that. Do you ignore sexual harassment, getting paid less for the same job with the same credentials? Because you don't think anything will change? Do you think you have the power to change it? Do you realize you could make a difference? Have you ever considered, as a woman, that we have taxation without representation? There are 535 people in Congress. In 1979, we were thrilled to have 15 women representing approximately 51% of the population. Now we're just as excited in 2014 because we have 20 women representing us. And I have to ask you, do you think that those old white men are taking into consideration the concerns that you and I might have for childcare, for education, for women's health, regardless of how you feel about abortion, rights for women, other rights for women? Do you think that they're going to consider your needs when they're making their decisions? I haven't seen it happen very often yet. What will it take for you and I to say no more and really mean it? It does start by calling it what it is and creating the conversation. I want to go back to conversations and their importance, by the way. I was listening to a young Hispanic woman who was saying that the reason that immigration reform has become such a hot topic is that so many undocumented people are coming forward and giving immigration a face. The young people who are in school now, are in college, in high school and college, and they are speaking to the fact that their family is not documented. It turns out that it's perhaps a friend of yours, someone you work with, someone you employ. It is now becoming a conversation. Domestic violence is finally making the headlines when all the NFL players have fallen from their pedestals. And we are now having that conversation about the levels of domestic violence that are going on and how it is ignored and not handled properly. And we notice, too, the difference between the judge who was beating his wife and the slap on the hand he got, and the fact that it appears he can continue to practice as a judge, having done the same thing that the NFL players are being prosecuted for, or persecuted as the case may be. So conversations are very, very important. We're beginning to see them now, and perhaps and hopefully these conversations are going to lead to, and they have begun to lead to action, and I think it'll lead to more, when there's a face on the people that we are ignoring, the issues that we are ignoring. One of the things we want to do in this programming is to really strengthen both your courage and your compassion. You may feel like you're way too busy with life, and heaven knows we all are. But you can do little things. You can sign the online petitions. You can support the women who are running for office. Consider your own options. There are here in our own county openings on the boards, commissions, and councils. Encourage you to look at whether you would like to make your opinion known there and your influence. And tune in with us to keep yourself informed and hopefully motivated as well. We're going to be talking to women who are just like you, and they're involved in a variety of ways to bring about change for all of us. And we're going to explore, what's a spiritual activist, for example? What is a feminist? What are the emerging models of feminine leadership? And what is the divine feminine? What are the daily man-made issues that you and I have to navigate around? And how do we do that? And how do we engage men in taking on their responsibility for what has been happening? Do you have a message, something you'd like to make known? Let's talk about your presentation skills. We have someone who has trained people for a long time, and they have a lot of good ideas about how to do that. What about the growing sex trade? Are you concerned? Do you want to know more about it? The disappearance of women and children off of our streets? And why is domestic violence becoming a business? I think that's rather interesting. And what do they do to support women? You may feel exempted from these subjects, but your daughters, your granddaughters, your nieces, and the women you know are not. If they're going in the military or they're going off to college, are they aware of the men there who feel like they have entitlements that come with their gender? We're going to talk about that and what we can do to bring that to a halt. California is making a great move in that direction. We'll talk about more about that and how it will affect us. We're planning a variety of formats as well. We want to model conversations of depth and authenticity that are personal and real. We hope to go beyond the interview concept and really have conversations. We may disagree, but the nice thing about that is we can hear the other side of what we may believe. And rather than making the differences wrong, measure your responses and understand how you differ from the other person's opinion. This may alter or strengthen your personal opinion. Now, I'd like to read a couple of poems for you because I feel that they really are wrapping up what we want to do in this series. For every woman who is tired of acting weak when she knows she's strong, there's a man who is tired of appearing strong when he feels vulnerable. For every woman who is tired of acting dumb, there's a man who's burdened with the constant expectation that he will know everything. For every woman who's tired of being called an emotional female, there's a man who is denied the right to weep and to be gentle. For every woman who is called unfeminine when she competes, there's a man for whom competition is the only way to show his masculinity. For every woman who's tired of being a sex object, there's a man who is worried about his potency and his performance. For every woman who feels tied down by her children, there is a man who's being denied the full pleasures of shared parenthood. For every woman who is denied meaningful employment or equal pay, there's a man who must bear full responsibility for other human beings in his life. For every woman who is not taught the intricacies of an automobile, there's a man who has not been taught the satisfactions of cooking. For every woman who takes a step towards her own liberation, there's a man who will find the freedom has been made just a little easier. This was written by someone named Nancy Smith, and if you know who Nancy is, I would love to find out. And finally, I want to say that the poem I just read, we really want to focus on the parts that speak to women. But men have their own work to do, and they have to do it themselves. It's not ours to do, if you will. And finally, a poem from my dear friend, JaneEvershed.com. I refer you to her site. If women ruled the world, they wouldn't. For there's a certain clarity telling us inherently that the first law of nature is balance. Therefore, women, given the choice, would insist on parity, even though our numbers outnumber men 52 to 50. I hope we've intrigued you now with just this quick overview of what is to come. And if so, perhaps you'll invite your friends to join us as well. Please check out our website, womenwakingtheworld.com, for more blogs and videos and thoughts to share. And also Facebook, Women Waking the World 2013. We want to thank NCTV for their support, and we're going to end as we began with Jane Evershed's, lots of Janes in my life. Jane Rivar's version of I Am a Woman. I believe this is her song. Actually, you heard it at the beginning. We're going to show you the graphics that she has included as we end the program. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again next month.